You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers. Free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
If you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.
Good morning and welcome to the live. And of course, this is the Bob Proctor. You were born rich. And we're on to the next part 6. This is episode 42. And of course, it's about personal development with a lifestyle plan attached. Now, my good friend Joey, I'm sure will be with us shortly. I think he's on another call because he's a busy guy, right? He's got lots of things to be doing. But look, don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course share. Maybe put some comments in the comments, and of course I'm happy to get your questions answered. Let me see, I need to turn this off. Hold on. There you go. So look, yeah, like, subscribe, share, and of course click that notifications bell, and that way you'll see the notifications from Joey and I as when we're on live, and it's usually around the same time every Sunday. I think you'll probably start seeing more and more content being put up, certainly on some of the different channels that we've got going on. But look, what this is about is really about the Bob Proctor You Were Born Rich webinar. And of course, it's fully remastered. The link is in the description. And of course, download the workbook and join in, because it really is an opportunity to, to change your lifestyle, and change your life, move in a direction that you really want to go in. And we all want better, I suppose. And of course, some of the things I'm doing it for is to look better, feel better, move better, and of course do better. And of course, you can apply the principles within the webinar to your own life to make a change, a positive change. And it starts with just the choice. That's all it does. It starts with the choice. So we're going to get on to part 6. We're going to get straight into it. Let me just share my screen and we'll get straight into it. And I'm sure Joey will be jumping on. And when he does, he can pop in and say hi. Okay, let's have a look. Okay. Should have been better prepared, right? So we're going to get straight in. You can see this now. Okay, I might just make that big for everybody. There you go. And we'll get straight into it. So this is the last part of the seminar. And of course, all of the parts are on the 16-week challenge page on the Facebook page. So definitely you can go back to the beginning. You can watch them over. And of course, you can get Joey and I's insights as we kind of go through the program. It's definitely worth it, right? It really is, because I've probably watched it a couple of times already, and every time I see more and more information that I didn't see before. So look, I would encourage you to watch it and rewatch some of the sections, because it's just a lot of information. All right, let's get on with this.
I'm going to proceed on the premise that you followed every suggestion John or I have given you. You've got involved in every exercise. The goal is firmly established. You've got the picture. And now you're prepared to make your move. Now, this is what we call the moment of truth. This is where you exercise your natural risk-taking ability. We mentioned right at the beginning of this series, when we referred to that beautiful little baby, that baby is a natural-born risk-taker. So are you. So am I. So is everyone. Our problem is we have many shackles that we pick up as we move along the road. Fear holds us back from literally living our dreams. And that's the only kind of life that we want to be involved in. Let's choose to live the way we really want inside. Now, Abraham Maslow has pointed out that you're either going to step forward into growth or you're going to step back into safety. There's no compensation in playing it safe. Pay particular attention to this part of the You Were Born Rich program that has been designed for you. Let yourself get involved in it. Understand that fear is holding us back. Understanding and courage is going to enable us to break through that barrier.
The best prayer to attract wealth begins when you understand that the strongest energy in the universe is not thought.
Now, everything that we've covered up to this point is going to help you understand this particular lesson. How many of you have set goals in the past and you come right up, but the fear inside stops you and you back away? How many of that happened to? Everyone has experienced that. Abraham Maslow one time said you will either step forward into growth or you'll step back into safety. That safety could be a prison. Is Janet Hall in our audience? Is Janet here? Janet was in a seminar recently, and she gave me a poem. And she said, would you like to have this? And I read it and I said, yeah, I sure would. And this is the first time I've shared it with anybody, but I don't know who wrote it. Janet might have wrote it. She didn't say whether she had or not. But at any rate, I got her name and I marked it on the poem. And I am indebted to her for it because it's so good. In a moment, you will be too. Here we're talking about risks. This is incredible. It says to laugh is to risk appearing the fool. To weep is to a risk appearing sentimental. To reach out to others is to risk getting involved. To show your feelings is to risk exposing yourself. To place your ideas, your dreams before the crowd is to risk their loss. To love is to risk not being loved in return. To hope is to risk pain. To try is to risk failure. But risk must be taken. It absolutely must be taken, because the greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing and has nothing. You may avoid suffering and sorrow, but you simply cannot learn, feel, change, grow, live, or love. Chained by your certitudes, you will be a slave. Only the person who risks is free.
I just want to pop in with something there, because like I was listening to that, and it made me think about comfort zone. And I suppose there are people that take risks every day. In fact, we all take risks. You get up and you go out to work, you drive off in your car and everything else, and that's a risk, right? You're taking a risk. Anything can happen at any time, but you're comfortable with it. So, but there was probably a time when you weren't comfortable with taking that risk until you did it over and over and over again, and you become comfortable with it, right? So, what stops you from taking that step to move towards something better for you, a better life for you in some kind of way? I suppose it's you have a fear, you have a fear of losing something. Could be your life, don't know. So I don't know, but I think comfort zone has a part to play in this. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops. But definitely interesting, definitely. All right, let's get back to it.
That'll take on even more meaning as I get into this lesson. I have here a newsletter that come from a very dear friend of mine. He's a minister in Atlanta, Jay Dishman. And I used to go and listen to Jay every weekend because I liked his ideas. I liked his way of communicating his ideas. He put them in terms that you could take them and you could use them. He said, recently I visited Alcatraz prison. Once it housed the most hardened of criminals. Today, it's open for tours under the direction of the United States Parks Department. Many men have tried to escape Alcatraz, but no one is known to have succeeded. As I listened to the tour guide explain the impossibility of escape, I thought of other prisons equally as confining as Alcatraz, but where the doors are never locked, no guards walk the walls, escape is encouraged and, in fact, possible. And he said that prison is habit. You want to really be consciously aware of what you're doing. Is it a habitual thing you're doing every day? Is that what's controlling your life, your destiny? Or are you choosing and going in the direction of your dreams? He said our habit of thinking about ourselves and our environment is either a jail or a paradise. We just have to look around us to see people who are rich emotionally and materially because they think and feel rich. We also see people who are laden with emotional and material debt because they think lack. Some are inspired with vision. Others, unfortunately, are encumbered by doubt. Some are moved by ambition. Others are paralyzed by fear. Some feel free to change. Others feel safer in monotony.
When I tune into the words manifesting millions, I feel it's so far beyond the money. You can't just get.
Some reach for the mountaintops, others huddle in the pits. Some seek opportunity, others just wait for it to knock. The sad fact is that more people are confined by their thoughts than are freed by them. Negative thinking shuts us in a prison. But there is a way out. Jay goes on to say, the Apostle Paul said, be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Paul knew a lot about prisons, both physical and mental. He emphasized the mental prison by knowing we get exactly what we set ourselves up to experience. And that's exactly what John was talking about a moment ago. Now, before I get into the real important part of this letter, or of this particular lesson, I want to go back and touch on something that we covered a moment ago, but I didn't go into it too deeply. Now, let's stop and think. Here's your mind. Most of us are conditioned, and remember what conditioning is, nothing but a mass of habits. We're conditioned to take all of our information from our sensory factors. We have been programmed on a physical level from the time we're children. Look at me, listen to this. Don't you see that? And that's how we're trained and conditioned to learn. So it's natural that we should let our material, our physical, or our results control our thinking. Now we know there are two polarities. I pointed out on this side is ignorance, and its polar opposite is knowledge. Now, an ignorant person does not understand that they can operate with their intellectual factors, they can choose the picture and get emotionally involved, and they can see the results come about in their life. They don't understand that they're letting their results control their thinking. So they set a goal, but then they look for the signals that it's going to happen. Where they start to look at the empty bank account, the wealth, it's no good. It's not there. We don't know if we're going to have enough money to keep going. And what we do at that point, we forget our goal and we start to worry. And then we doubt ourselves, and it's a negative experience. It's a psychic disease. That worry instantly and automatically turns into an emotional state called fear. Now keep in mind, you're working with the central nervous system. It is the most incredible electrical system in the universe. This can happen in less than a millisecond, and there's 1,000 of them in a second. That energy that we call fear, that negative energy, must be expressed through the only medium it can be expressed through, and that's this thing that you live in, your physical body. And it expresses itself in a negative vibration that's more commonly known as anxiety. I had someone talk to me here just about an hour ago about anxiety. That's the cause of anxiety.
This makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? You know? I don't know, what do you think? Put some comments in the chat, or if you're watching on replay, let me know. This is definitely powerful stuff. You know, if you start to understand this stuff, you know, you can catch yourself in the moment. You know, when you start to feel that feeling, or whether you have that thought, and you can catch that thought and maybe go in a different direction and say, no, I'm not accepting that thought. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to move on. What is it? There's a great book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, right? Can't remember who wrote it. God, I must have read that book maybe 30 years ago. I should really dig it out again. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. You know, like, you've got to dive into this stuff. Incredible.
Worry isn't the cause. Fear is not the cause. Ignorance is the cause. Not knowing. Most of us are afraid to admit our ignorance. We're all ignorant. I admit my ignorance freely when it come to doing some plumbing yesterday morning at about 4:45 or something like that. I admit my ignorance when it comes to tuning up a car. I'm absolutely useless. In fact, I'm ignorant in most areas. I just know how to do what I'm doing. I don't even want to learn how to do anything else. You do this well enough, you can hire somebody to do everything else. You know. Develop your strengths, manage your weaknesses. How do we eliminate ignorance? It's very basic and very simple. We study.
we study, and we develop understanding. And the understanding tells us, quit let your outside world, don't let your outside world, don't let previous or present results control your thinking. Visualize what you want, get emotionally involved with it. The understanding leads to faith, and the faith manifests on the physical plane as health or well-being. You can literally transform the state of health that your body's in. I've seen people that close to death's door change it. I've watched people who are in terrible state literally change your life. I keep telling people how much I've changed, and I know that some of you, if you just hear for the first time, you never knew me before, you'd say, wow, he's saying that's good copy for the seminar. How do you go talk to my mother? I got to the point where she was the only one that had even any hope that I'd ever wake up. I was like the principal that had 2 good reasons to go to school at 40. I mean, I was 26 and I still didn't know. John was exactly the same. Just an absolute mess. Beautiful person, but he didn't know it. I was, but I didn't know it. I want to take just a moment to introduce John's parents, because they're here today. They're sitting right over here. They're very good friends of mine. Why don't you stand up for a minute, Mr. and Miss Canary? Let's give them a real good hand, all right?
Hey, coaches, consultants, and experts, stop making your prices competitive.
They are 2 of the nicest people you ever want to meet. And Mrs. Canary is not at all reluctant to tell me to mind my own business or keep my place. I mean, she's always given me hell for something. But you know something? She's an honest person, and so is he. And if you were to go talk to them, they would probably tell you that they just can't believe the change that's taken place in John. And it's done it through these ideas. And you know, whatever it is, you can change. And you know, the beautiful part, they probably enjoy the change more than John does. No, they really do. Because I think when changes like that take place in our loved ones, it makes us feel so good inside. You know? So not only do you benefit from the change, so does everyone else benefit from the change. Now, we're going to run through a mental process that every one of us have experienced. I'm not going to talk to you about something you do not know about. I'm going to talk to you about something you do know about. You may not know how to stop what happens, but it's happened to every one of us. It's happened to you. Now let's go back and draw on the information that we started with. In our little life, we had all kinds of ideas programmed in here. John talked about that quite a while ago. Then we began to think, what kind of thoughts would we think? We would think thoughts that were in harmonious vibration with the conditioning we already had. It's natural for a person to think X-type thoughts, X being the unknown factor. So it would apply for all of us. If our mind is programmed, our subconscious is programmed with X-type conditioning, it would make sense that we would think X-type thoughts. Why would we? Well, by thinking X-type thoughts, those thoughts, when they're mixed with the conditioning, set up a vibration that we're used to. That's called the comfort zone. It might not give you the results you want, and in fact, probably won't. But it's comfortable. Do you know you can be comfortable getting very inferior results? You can be very comfortable in a relationship you totally dislike. Why do you think people stay together that don't even like each other? It's comfortable. It's comfortable. It's also dumb. Yeah. Why do you think a person stays on a job they don't like? It's comfortable. They're used to it. There's no risk. They know how to do it. Going after the bigger job might be scary. Keep thinking.
Now, let's bring this ahead. We said this was bondage. It's prison. Now, this is what we call reason. Remember what we said here? We have sensory factors. You can see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Here we've got the person with the X-type conditioning, X-type vibration that produces X-type behavior, that produces X-type results. Let's say the X-type results represent $18,000 a year income. That's about where it was, isn't it, Al? Now, remember, we also said we have the ability to choose thinking this way or this way. We can think of how we can get what we want, or we can spend time thinking of why we can't. We also said as long as an idea was just here in our conscious mind, it would have absolutely no effect on how we felt or anything we did, because it's right here in our consciousness. Now, this is also called the educated mind or the intellectual mind. This is the part that reasons, that thinks. Now, do you know you could put a Y-type idea in there, Y being much better than the old conditioning. See, this conditioning represents an $18,000 income. I'm going to use money because everyone can relate to it. Now, I'm going to ask Al, because we talked about Al here a little earlier. Al walked over at the break, and Al gave me a sheet of paper. Now, I haven't asked Al if he'd talk about this, because I want this to be spontaneous, and I also want it to verify something that I'm almost certain of. In fact, I'll be shocked if I don't get the answers that I'm expecting. I really will, because I know so much about how the mind operates in the human personality. Al, let's let the Y represent the $500,000 income. And the X-type conditioning represents the $18,000 income. Now, Al, this conditioning caused you to do what you were doing to give you that income.
Military gadgets are transforming people's condition and endurance, and here's how. This is what happened.
All right. Did you like what you were doing, Al? Were you excited about it?
Not 100%, no.
Not 100%. You weren't really turned on with it.
No.
Marge, were you excited about what Al was doing?
No.
Al had an escort service. That wasn't really fair, but they're pretty good heads, so I think they'll go along with that. At least Al probably would, even if Marge wouldn't. Marge, how did you like living on the $18,000 income?
I didn't.
You didn't. You didn't take many interesting trips on the 18K, did you?
None.
No, none. Bet you cooked in a lot, did you?
All the time.
All the time. Now, Al, let me come back to you again. How long had you thought about changing before you actually made the change?
For quite a few years.
I was right. I was right. Even righter than I expected. Quite a few years. I never thought it'd be quite a few years, but at any rate, it was quite a few years. Did you think of doing what you're doing now?
It did cross my mind, but I couldn't get myself up to.
Couldn't get yourself up to do it, could you?
To doing it.
You got a brother that had been doing well for quite a few years, doing what you're doing now, haven't you?
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And what it was, I believe, was fear that was holding me back from going up.
That's exactly what it was, and that's what we're going to talk about here. Now, you see, the strange part about this is the guy that I was praising for being the great manager is his brother. Nino is Al's brother.
Now, I have known Nino for 8 years. Nino was in the first seminar I did when we moved from Atlanta to Toronto. And it was an odd situation. It was his birthday, and his wife made him go. And he's told me on many occasions that he's not sorry he went. Wouldn't be very nice of him to tell me anything else at this point, would it? All right. Now, I know what Nino's done. Nino is a risk taker, no question about it. You both have the same mother and father, Al? You both do.
Absolutely.
So you see, we often say a baby is a born risk taker. Here's two people from the same parents. One's out there taking the risk, making the dough, doing the big deals. The other's doing something they're not really excited about on $18,000 a year. Wife has to cook in all the time, doesn't go out. Didn't like what he was doing, wasn't excited about it. He's thinking about doing what his brother's doing for years, but he doesn't do it. Is that uncommon? That is not uncommon at all. Not uncommon at all. You've probably experienced that in your family. I see it happening every day. Now, if we could keep focusing on this, the Y-type idea represents what you're doing now. And every time you thought about it, you probably thought about the compensation that it would give you. Is that correct?
Exactly.
You never dreamed it would be $500,000 a year, though.
Never did. No.
Never. Have you any idea how many years it would take you to earn $500,000 at 18K?
Several.
And your hair wouldn't be black and curly, my friend. It would be long and gray. Now, if you had any left. But you see, it's generally much better than you ever even think it will be. Now, I want you to keep thinking about Al's situation. Al is a real estate agent. And we've already found out that there's only 13 out of 20,000 that are doing a job that may be a little superior to his. So you could say Al is one of the best in the world at what he does. But he had to think about doing it for years. Now, when he was thinking about it, he probably thought about the nice cars, the nice trips. And I was looking at Marge. I was just about blinded by the ring on her finger. I mean, I don't think you got that on 18K. You'd had a couple of years' wages for low in there. Now, let's come back again and focus here. Here's Al, X-type energy, X-type vibration, X-type behavior, X-type results, and he gets to the point where he's thinking, I think I'm going to do that. But before you can act on a Y-type idea, it must go through that part of your personality. You'll never act on an idea without passing it through here. It is the power that doeth the work. Remember that? John brought that out in the last lesson. And every time he went to impress that idea, the Y-type idea on the X-type energy, you know what that did? That instantly and automatically affected his entire nervous system. It set up a chaotic vibration. We'll call it a foreign vibration. It's an XY type vibration, mental conflicts, and instantly and automatically doubt, fear, and anxiety just zoomed through his system. And it happened so fast, he didn't even know what was happening. When that feeling took over, he did not know how to control it, so he did what Maslow said. He stepped back into safety. Then he started to reason with it. Who needs the big cars anyway? Damn things just cost too much money. What's Marge need that big ring for? A little band of gold is all she ever really needed. Those prices in those rich restaurants are ridiculous anyway. Lights go down, price goes up. Kids are well fed and looked after. We're well dressed. We have a warm home. Besides, Nino loses every now and then too.
Are you struggling with affiliate marketing? Are you confused and overwhelmed? I
don't really need it. You've got to justify staying here some way.
So you do something called rationalizing. That's rationing lies to your mind. Could Al break through this terror barrier? Not only could, but he did. But he did. Here's the X-type energy.
Can't believe I did that. I just can't believe I did that. Anyway, damn it.
Here's the Y-type idea. And he started to get emotionally involved. Did he create doubt, fear, anxiety? Yeah, he sure did. But I'm going to tell you what's different. He started to do it with understanding. Understanding. You know what that led to? That led to freedom. I want you to watch here for a moment. What did Al say? He said just after he made the change, he came to the seminar. He started to use the tapes. I met young Christina yesterday, and apparently they're inundating her brain with the tapes. And I'm going to tell you something, Christina, it's going to pay off for you. It's going to pay off for you. John was mentioning about Brian's personality. I was happy to hear him say that. Brian's my son. I was going to tell John it's in the genes, but I know that's not right. Do you know that I started to study these ideas just a few months before Brian was born. And a big change took place in my life just a few months after he was born. What did Zucker say? There's 2 classes, no class in first class. I made up my mind that I was going to program some ideas into their little minds that were a lot different than the ones I had programmed into mine. Now, this is saying nothing against my parents. They gave me everything they had. You cannot give a person something you do not have. We traveled. I had them fly in the front of the plane, first class. We would take them to nice restaurants to eat because I had to learn after I was an adult how to eat in a nice restaurant. I didn't know which piece of cutlery to pick up first. I would be asked if I wanted something. When the waiter or waitress first came, I didn't even know what the word meant. I would take them to beautiful resorts. I was going into New York one time, and I took Brian and Raymond with me. John and I had limos picking us up, stretches, taking us everywhere. If you're going to travel, you might as well be comfortable. I had Joe, the guy who used to take us to New York all the time. I said, Joe, I want to keep you for the day. Bring the boys down. I want you to take them around. Had them drive them all around. I said, take them down to the Battery. Wake them up. You know. So he took them to all these places in the stretch limo. You see? Moved to England. Moved to the United States. Always traveling. They always were in nice cars. I don't think they know what a used car means. See? Nice homes, nice clothes. That's all I give them. The homes they bought. They earned the money, and they bought them. Somebody say, oh, wow, yeah, it's Proctor's kid. He can afford to buy a couple of houses. You're right, he can. And not because he's my kid, because he got the ideas.
Imagine being such a master manifester that anything you choose to want.
Ian Leslie studied all the time. Colleen does what she wants. Raymond does what she wants. I never went to college. Nobody in our family ever went to university. So there was never much talk about going to university. Linda helped me with that idea. We didn't talk to them whether they were going to go. We talked to them where they were going to go. See, we had them making a choice. Which one do you want to go to? Not do you want to go or not. And if that's all you talk to them about, they make a choice. Colleen chose Illinois State. Raymond chose Wilfrid Laurier. Now he tells me he wants to be a lawyer. He's in his last year in Wilfrid Laurier. So I guess we're locked in for another 4 years. But I treat education, as being almost sacred. As long as he'll go, I'll pay. You see? Al didn't have the benefit of that kind of teaching, and neither did I. Do you know what he did? He did the same thing I did. He came to the seminar and he got involved with those tapes, and he listened to them over and over and over again. And if you're watching this videotape, don't think just because you hear what I'm saying and you can repeat a bit of it that you know it. You want to watch it over and over and over again. You get one of the most magnificent tools in your hand you'll ever get your hands on. Now, I want this to represent X-type conditioning in your life. Let it represent X-type conditioning. Let this represent the Y-type idea. Now watch. You're watching with your eyes. You don't see any change, do you, Reen? Al, do you see any change?
No, I don't.
You don't see any change. But your understanding tells you that it's not as dark as it was before I put the clear water in, doesn't it? You see, as you impress the bigger idea, the old conditioning becomes weaker. And as we keep doing it, it becomes weaker. And it becomes weaker. And it becomes weaker. But you see, our eyes deceive us. We can't see any difference. But every time we watch the video, every time we turn on the set, every time we review the paragraph with the tape, every time we watch this idea being explained, the old conditioning becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. And if we will keep impressing it, even although it appears that everything outside is remaining the same, our inner eye of understanding tells us it's not the same, that it is becoming weaker. Now, I want you to think, even although you experience
Welcome, Joey.
Hey, Mike. Can someone tell the world not to change the time?
I know. They keep moving it. They keep doing it to confuse us.
Oh my God. No excuse, Mike. No excuse. Yeah, just float around, do some work around the house. And yeah, I just thought, oh, maybe just check with Mike, maybe half an hour before we start. But anyway, good on you for getting going.
But your clocks went back and ours went forward.
Yeah, we went back. Yeah.
It's just confusing. You know, it's like a 2-hour spread. You know. So look, I get it. And I think you do a group call on a Sunday night in Australia as well, don't you? I think.
Yeah, we did.
So
we did.
We'll take a look at those times. But listen, look, Joe, I think it's been a great show. Obviously, I'm sure you'll watch the replay anyway. But there's just so much in this, and what he's talking about in that point there, I think is everything that we've been talking about. About how much the more that you listen to it, the more comes out for you. Do you know what I mean? You just keep getting more and more and more. And it's kind of like that. Now, you did miss me earlier on when I was talking away for about 3 or 4 minutes and I was muted and I thought, Jesus, what am I doing? But anyway, I've never learned that. I'll have to get better at that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just fun. But look, this is obviously part 6 is the last part. And we're probably about a good third of the way through it, but it's definitely well worth the information that's inside the remastered course is definitely worth kind of going through it. It's definitely worth downloading that workbook and applying some of this stuff to your life, because it can move you to a better place, even a better place to think in. I think it talked very early on in part 1 about a prison for your mind and everything else like that. And there's freedom in this section of the the course in taking risks. There's freedom in it. The freedom of throwing off that cloak of fear, and taking risks. Like, you're a great example of someone who takes risks. Especially with your entrepreneurial kind of stuff. What's that?
This is what I'm currently listening to. It's called Education is Freedom.
Wow.
It's a book. It's a book worth getting it. I think it's not released yet. It's released in May, but the audio is already released. Like you said before, and I the book just come to my mind because I'm currently listening to it, and like you said, the information and it's the knowledge, and the knowledge it's because most of the time we fear of doing something, we fear of taking risks because we don't have the knowledge, we don't have the fear, the understanding, and understanding coming from study, and by reading, by having a right mentor, having the right community, reading, listen to an audio or a podcast that feed your mind with the positivity and also things that move you forward. And I totally, I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because this information that we go through since from Taiwan has not only transformed the way we think, you and I, but I believe the people will listen to this podcast and also listen to Bob again. God bless him, even though he's not here in physical, but we know his spirit with us because we are carrying his legacy, sharing this amazing and transformation information. And we live in fear all the time. And I remember the person who wrote the book, James. He's the former CEO of 7-Eleven, and from 7-Eleven he was went from 7-Eleven after 21 years to Blockbuster, and then he was almost saved Blockbuster, but then something didn't follow through from what he was planning to do, and they go out of business. And Netflix took over and all the media that we have now. But he was almost saving Blockbuster. I will share with you that interview that he did with Eric Worre. And he said, when we were young, we're sleeping in our room by ourselves, and we fear that there's a monster in the room because it's dark. And we go, and we call mom, and mom come, and she turned on the light, and he said, and the boy said, "Oh, there's no monster here." So the fear started to go, but the light represent knowledge, and knowledge come through study, and study come through reading, to personal development, have a mentor like Linda, and also the leadership in our community like yourself and myself. Have the right people to guide you, maybe to give you information. And I shared one of my posts while ago in my feed, that one of the best information, the best gift that you can give someone is a piece of information. And that piece of information come through from study, from reading books, getting the right mentor. And that's what happened when people come to our community. We will show them the light, by give them some material like You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. Even though this material has been produced a long time ago, whether it's in 80 or 70, but is the fundamental of that message and that value of that content is still, if you still apply it nowadays, it's still going to change your life. And it's all about fundamental. And fear is not knowing. Bob used the word ignorance, which means ignorance is the people who are uneducated, who doesn't want to learn more or find out more. So you're so right. This information is worth going through it again, in your own time, or listen to us again in our podcast, or replay our podcast, because we've been digging. It's like a gold mine, but we're digging out, and try to separate the soil from the gold, and the worth material there. So, and you and I are proving that it changed our life and transformed our life, and we're so grateful that we make the community decision to come together and collaborate. And I think that's what I learned from the book. When you grow in life, embrace change, because change equal opportunity. And he defined the word CEO mean it. A lot of us, when we hear the word CEO, is mean for Chief Executive Officer, but it's also mean change equal opportunity. So when you listen to the postcard, whether it's a replay of what we're doing, and study the material and apply to yourself, you will realize that there will be a change. And embrace that change, because that change, if you change personally, physically, and mentally, and change your identity, you will transform your result. And people will see you in a different way. Your poster, you show up in a different way, you turn up in a different way, you look better, feel better, and have more energy. So Mike, talk a lot, but I just want to give it back to you.
Joe, you're making a lot of good sense there. A lot of good sense. I like the CEO, change equals opportunity. I also like, when you're saying that knowledge comes from study, and there's no doubt, that's correct. Knowledge does come from study, but I think that you can also, there's a level of self-awareness that you have to get to, where you can actually look at yourself and learn from yourself, learn from your behaviors, and recognize that your behaviors, and be able to ask yourself, are your behaviors serving you in the way that you want to be served? The things that you're doing, the habits that you have, are they serving you and giving you the life that you really want? Whether it be, health, whether it be financial, whatever it is, So I think that there's a leveling up that everybody has to do. You know, if you want something different, you have to level up. You have to look at yourself in a different light, and see that change, as scary as it might be. And to be honest, when I look at myself, you know, the reasons why I didn't change sooner was probably because I was scared about what other people were going to think of me. You know, and then you get to an age where you don't give an F. You know, what anybody else thinks. And I would say the advice that I would give to anybody now is don't wait. Don't wait. Start, don't stop. You know, and the people that you need in your life, you know, will appear.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, Mike. And I think one thing is that I look back in my journey and very grateful that I start. You know, I want to invest in real estate. I start. You know, I bought my house, and from my house, I know that I didn't realize there is equity there, but I went and look for the knowledge, look for the people that already done it before, and ask them, buy them coffee and buy them lunch, and willing to ask them, look, I just want to do this. I have no idea, but I want to know how. And you know, with the goodness of their heart, they want to help people like me that are seeking to have the knowledge, because this is what I found: successful people are looking to pass on their legacy to anyone who are hungry, willing, coachable, and have the strong desire to succeed in life. You
I
know,
agree.
yeah, before we have the mindset that, you know, rich people are very selfish people, rich people are very greedy people. But then, you know, when we surround ourselves with the community and also the right people, you start to understand that successful people are very good people. They want to pass on because they want to pay it forward, because their situation was like the same with us. They didn't success overnight, but they success over time. So, you know, whether it's a leadership, whether it's a, you know, entrepreneurship, they didn't success overnight. They went through the phase, they went through the trends, they went through the hardship, the challenging. But when they are on the top of the mountain, they want to look down and want to lift up someone like yourself and myself and whoever listen to this, willing, coachable, and hungry, and have a strong desire to succeed in life.
Totally agree, Joe. You're making a lot of sense, a lot of good points. And what time is it there where you are right now?
Almost 3 minutes to 8, almost 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So 7 o'clock next week, 10 o'clock next week, 10 a.m. for me. Now I'm going to be on the road, so we might not. I don't know whether we're going to be able to do what we normally do and play this. I just need to check.
Yeah.
We should be able to, but we'll have a look anyway. But look, listen, brilliant show, Joe. To be honest, you should come on late every week because your insights are absolutely amazing. You're bringing so much to the table, you know.
I think we're getting better and better, you know, because we make the commitment to getting better and also change our life and change our mind, change our thinking. And not only that, we want to change other people's life by helping them, guiding them, leading them, and show them the light.
And listen, if you want it, if you're watching on the replay and you want to know what that book was, Joey, what's that book again, and where can people get it?
It's called Education is Freedom. By a guy. Yeah, Education is Freedom, by a guy called James W. Geys, Geyes. That's his last name. He's a former CEO of 7-Eleven and also Blockbuster. But now he's like odds, some wild odds, you know, chairperson of Wild Odds now. Very successful business. Rise from a very poor background, you know, go through a lot of adversity and change. And that's why he believed that change equal opportunity, because every phase, every change you went through life, embrace it, because that's how it make yourself become successful.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because when I was talking before and I was muted, I was talking about, you know, losses. Bob had just been talking about, you know, losing. being afraid to take risk and things like this. He was talking about Nino losers, and I was making the point that that I lose all the time. I had this conversation with my wife Kate that in our business, we lose more every day than we win. But when we win big, and so we win a lot, but we lose more. And many people, like the whole system is set up to not lose really. When you get up, you go to school, you get grades, you accept those grades. There's no real losing. You go and get a job. Again, there's no real losing. The losing is not taking the opportunities, not taking the big risks, to live a life that you want, not one of conformity, not one of acceptance. Like, had I, if I was smarter than I am, I probably wouldn't take the risks that I do take in my businesses. Do you know what I mean? Because I would think too much about it. I would think too much about the, how much I've got to lose, what somebody might think. Like I was talking with a young girl the other day, really, really nice girl. And, she's got a good approach to business and everything else, but the way that she thinks about business is just not the same way as I think about business. It's just not the same way. And I'm not saying her way's right and my way's wrong or vice versa, but we have different ways of doing things. Whereas I think that you do have to take risks, but we're born risk takers. That's what Bob's saying, right? We're born risk takers, but it's kind of knocked out of us. It's knocked out of us by the time we end up coming out of school or college, or whatever it is. It's taken out, it's kind of knocked out of you. You're kind of more programmed to just kind of, just go under the radar. You don't need to pop your head up out, you don't need to take those risks. What you need is to, get a good education, get a good job. And the truth is that's perfect for someone to do if that's what they really want to do. But if what they really want to do is live a life of abundance, whether that be health, whether it be wealth, or helping other people, or whatever it is, but we're not taught that way. We're taught a different way. We're taught to stay in the crowd, not stand out of the crowd. And I think you have to stand out from the crowd. You have to be you. You have to try and be the best you that you can be and not be afraid of what anybody's going to say. So there's no doubt, taking risks is important, and not being afraid to lose. Like I'm competitive, Joey, and I know you're competitive too, but when you play tennis, you don't play tennis to lose. You don't play tennis to have a draw. You play tennis to pummel that person. Do you know what I mean? You want to smash that person. You want to ace that person, every set. Do you know what I mean? Every time you take that serve, you're trying to beat them right then and there. Absolutely. You're not trying to let them have the win.
Yes.
You don't play to lose. You don't play to draw. You play to win. Growing up, my philosophy was, I don't need to win. I have to win. That's the way that I approached it. And then you're told that you're not allowed to play like that. You've got to give someone a chance. Well, why can't I give myself a chance?
Yeah. And I really like what you said before. You mentioned, and I think I watched your live twice. In our community, and I love how you said, a lot of the time we are afraid to take risk and to do something different or change something because we don't want to stand out. But we were born to be stand out. There's no other Mike in this world. There's no other Joe in this world. That's just the ultimate, of our being, our creation. We only one, and whatever thing we try to do, whether play tennis or become an entrepreneur, become investing or leading a family, we were born to stand out. And I think it's and I like how you say, I'm gonna be me, you're gonna be you, and whatever you think about me, I can't control that, but the way I think about myself, I'm going to be me. And I like that, You know, I really
I remember saying that. I was saying, you know, I'm going to be me, you be you, I'll be me, you be you, and I think we'll get along just fine. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I'm not sure if everybody's going to like that kind of approach, but you know, like it doesn't matter. You know, to be honest, do you know, Joey? Sometimes when people get offended, you know, they're not offended with me. That offense is within them.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like if someone says something to me and I get upset about it, you know, it's not because that upset lies within me. It's because there's something that's within me. You know, so I always have to look inside and ask myself, why am I feeling that way? You know, and this is what I'm talking about, that level up approach. Because sometimes a lot of this stuff just isn't important. It's not important. It's not serving you. It's not helping you. You know, like some of the thoughts and some of the feelings that we have, they don't move us in a direction. In fact, what they do is it's like a ball and chain around your foot, pulling you down or stopping you from moving forward. You know, what you need is you need to find a way to cut that off. You know, just cut it off, get rid of it. It doesn't serve you. You know, if it doesn't serve you, you don't need it in your life. You know?
Yeah. Eric Worre used to say, if it doesn't add value to you, trash it. If it's add value to you, hold on to it. And I think I always say that in most of my posts, because it's the legacy of my dad. He always said to us, you know, when we talk about his past, you know, his experience, he always concluded with, only look for the good in everything. If you only take the good, whatever you see doesn't add value to you, let go of it. Don't take it with you. It won't help you. Just only take what it add value to you. And I think it's same with what you share. You know, if anything in life that doesn't add value to you or help you in your cause or on your journey, let go of it. Let go of it and just put it in the bin. Put it in the bin and trash it and scrape it and also shredded it. You know, just like the paper shredded. So put it in the shredded machine. It's shredded. Doesn't add value to you. You need to move forward. You know, the world is and time are not waiting for anyone. They are waiting for the people who are willing, coachable, and want to success in life.
Beautifully said, Joey. You know, as usual, you know, you're such an inspiration. You know, like, you know, my fear is that, you know, listening to you, people are just going to say, why is Joey doing that show with Mick? Joey is so much smarter. That's the way I feel. You're just, you know, you are just head and shoulders, Joey. You know, like, you're an inspiration. You really are. You really are. And by the way, I need to talk to you after the show. I give somebody a number to ring you in Australia. But I'll tell you about it after. Right, we're going to finish up right there. You know,
you make me cry.
You know, I mean it.
You make me cry. Thank you.
You're an absolute inspiration. Do you know what I mean? You know, you're making a difference for so many people. You know, and you truly are a leader. You know, and you probably, I don't know whether you know that about yourself. You know, like, you know, I'm not trying to make you feel big-headed or anything like that. But you know, look, you know, people are watching you, and you know, you've definitely got it. You know, and you've got it in spades. All right, listen, dream big, and we'll see you next week.
You see, we are created in a magnificent vibration, in an absolutely magnificent vibration. Born risk takers, free. That conditioning takes place after birth. You can change it. It takes guts. It takes goals. Now, do you know something? You're sitting there watching this and you're thinking, by God, I'm going to change something. I always say, keep reminding yourself that you have tremendous reservoirs of potential within you, and therefore you are quite capable of doing anything you set your mind to. You really can. I don't care what the cynics tell you. Quit listening to some of your peers. Now, all you must do is figure out how you can do it, not whether you can or not. When are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? You've got to create a sense of urgency. I'm going to do it right now.
Yep, you can see it, you can do it. But the beautiful truth is you can do anything. We got to know there is a place. There is a specific frequency. And if you get on that frequency, you're going to attract what you need to you. This is what it's all about. Why have you been endowed with such awesome powers? If you'll make a committed decision, this I'm going to do. And you don't have to know how. You do not have to know how. The second you make the committed decision, you flip your brain onto the frequency that you have to be on to attract what you have to attract to manifest the thing that you want. If you can see it, you can do it. It's got to be something you want. Wants come from inside. Act like you're already there. Walk, talk, speak, live like you're already there. Don't set a small goal. Don't set something that doesn't really wind your stem. Set it so big it jazzes you. It really gets you going. When something of a very high nature resonates with the very high side of you, you'll know it. You'll know it. You will feel it. Feeling is conscious awareness of vibration. The only prerequisite, do you want it? Not do you need it, not could you do it. The only prerequisite is, do you want it? Take the lid off your marvelous mind and dream. For goodness sake, give yourself the right to do that. Get your analytical mind out of the way. Put it in your pocket for a while. All you're doing is exploring, daydreaming. What did Lawrence say? All men dream, but not equally. Those who dream by night in the dusty recesses of their mind waken the day to find that it was vanity. But the dreamers of the day are dangerous men, for they may act their dream with open eyes to make it possible. This I did.